Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be talking about family. So let's get started. Here we have a family tree. Sorodniki means relatives. Družina would mean family. So these are the relatives. Here is jaz. Jaz means I. Okay? So this is us and this is all of our family. So let's get started. At first we have babica and dedek. Babica means grandma, dedek means grandpa. So babica and dedek. Then we have mama in oče. Mama means mom, oče means father. Then we have jaz, so I, my sister, so sestra, and my brother, brat, sestra, brat. When I have kids, there will be hčerka and sin. Hčerka means daughter, sin means son. When they have their own kids, there will be vnukinja and vnuk. Vnukinja means granddaughter and vnuk means grandson. My mom's sister is my aunt, so teta. And my brother's brother is my uncle, so stric. So teta and stric. My aunt's daughter or my female cousin is sestrična, and my male cousin is bratranec. Sestrična, bratranec. My sister's daughter is nečakinja. Nečakinja. So niece is nečakinja, and my brother's son, my nephew, is nečak. Nečak. So let's go through everything again. Babica, dedek, mama, oče, teta, stric, sestrična, sestra, brat, bratranec, nečakinja, hčerka, sin, nečak, vnukinja, vnuk. So we have 3 generations here. Stari starši, which are grandparents, starši, which are parents, and otroci, which are kids. So stari starši, starši, otroci. And here we have a little reading exercise. So let's read it, and then you try to pause it and figure out what it means, and we'll go through it together. To sta moja mama, Anja, in moj oče, Peter. Moja mama ima 2 brata in 1 sestro. Moj oče je edinec. Na mamini strani imam 2 strica in 1 teto. Stric Boris ima hčerko Ano. Ana je moja sestrična. Jaz imam 2 sestri, Leja je noseča, Tadeja pa ima 2 sinova. Moja nečaka. Moji stari starši so še živi. So let's go through some stuff. Here are some words and verbs that you may not know yet. So here we have the sentence, moj oče je edinec. It means my father is an only child. Edinec means only child. Na mamini strani means on my mom's side. So, meaning my mom's brothers and sisters, not my dad's. So, na mamini strani. Or na očetovi strani would mean my dad's side. Leja je noseča means Leja is pregnant. Je noseča means is pregnant. Moji stari starši so še živi means My grandparents are still alive. Okay, now pause the video and then we'll go through it together. Okay, now let's go through the meaning. To sta moja mama Anja in moj oče Peter. To sta means these are my mom Anja and my father Peter. Moja mama ima dva brata in eno sestro. Moj oče je edinec. My mom has 2 brothers and 1 sister. My father is an only child. Na mamini strani imam 2 strica in eno teto. On my mom's side, I have 2 uncles and 1 aunt. Stric Boris ima hčerko Ano. Uncle Boris has daughter Anna. Anna je moja sestrična. Anna is my cousin. Jaz imam 2 sestri. I have 2 sisters. Leia je noseča. Leia is pregnant. Tadeja pa ima 2 sinova. Moja nečaka. Tadeja has 2 sons, my nephews. Moji stari starši so še živi. My grandparents are still alive. Okay, moving on, we have 3 verbs today. Roditi, živeti, and umreti. So, roditi. Roditi by itself means to give birth. So, and the root is rodi. So, jaz rodim, ti rodiš, on rodi. But roditi se means to be born. So, the root is again rodi. So, rodim se would mean I am born. Next we have živeti, to live. And the root is živi. And last but not least, we have umreti, to die, and the root is umre. So we have roditi, roditi se, živeti, and umreti. We'll talk more about what se means in the future slide in this video. So, here we have some examples on how this is used in present tense. V ponedeljek rodim. I give birth on Monday. Rodi se sin. My son is born, or a son is born. Živim v Ljubljani. I live in Ljubljana. A živite v Sloveniji? Do you live in Slovenia? Dedek umre, babica živi. Grandfather dies, grandma lives. Which is kind of grim, wow. I'm sorry. Anyways, let's move on to the locative case. Now, if you don't know what locative case is, please watch my declension videos or practice again. I say this in every video, but declensions are very important. So make sure you understand them before we continue. Now, if you do know what a locative case is, you know that there is always a preposition before a locative case already. Because when we look at them, there's always the preposition o in front of it. Well, the locative case obviously always has a preposition, but it indicates location, which is obvious by its name, and it has some proposals. Now, proposals v and na are tricky because they can also be used for accusative case. So we only use locative case if proposals v and na dictate location but without movement. More on this later. And there are also other locative proposals. You can watch my previous video and we'll also touch on them today. So like I said, v and na proposals are kind of tricky because we have them in accusative case and locative case. But I'll show you what that means. So in accusative case, the use of v or na always includes movement or direction. Meaning, vozim se na morje, for instance, I drive on vacation. Hodim v šolo, meaning I walk to school. I walk in school. So, as you see, we are moving in both of these. We're driving or we're walking. But for the locative case, we actually don't use v and na if it includes movement. We only use it if it doesn't include movement. So here we have na morju je lepo. On vacation, it's pretty or nice. V šoli imam prijatelje. I have friends at school. So in this case, it's more statements than like movement, if that makes sense. Well, moving on, we have some locative proposals. We have po, o, pri, and ob. Po means on, o means about, pri means by, and ob means against or next to. So for instance, hodim po cesti, I walk on the street. And for o, govorim o hiši, I talk about house. Pri, sin je pri mami, my son is at my mom's house. Yeah, I forgot to mention this, but pri plus somebody's name or person like mom, father, uncle, and so on would mean their place. So pri babici would mean at grandma's. Or pri šoli would mean by a school. Okay? And then we have ob. Knjižnica je ob hiši. Library is by or against or next to house. So here we have some locative sentences and try to see how much you understand. So we have the question, kje živiš? Where do you live? Andrej says, živim pri mami. Ob hiši je avtobusna postaja. V hiši živita tudi moj brat in moja nečakinja. Pause the video and try to understand. Okay, if you pause the video, let's go through this. Živim pri mami. Živim is from the verb živeti. Now, like I said, the root is živi. So, živim pri mami means I live at my mom's house, basically. Ob hiši je avtobusna postaja. So, by the house is a bus station. V hiši živita tudi moj brat in moja nečakinja. In the house also live my brother and my niece. Natalia says, živim v mestu. Rada sem ob trgovinah in ob parku. V mestu živi veliko ljudi. Najraje hodim po mestnih ulicah. Pause and try to understand what it means. Okay, if you already paused, let's continue. Živim v mestu. I live in the city. Rada sem ob trgovinah in ob parku. I like being by stores and by parks. V mestu živi veliko ljudi. In the city, a lot of people live in the city. Najraje hodim po mestnih ulicah. I mostly like to walk in the streets of the city. And the last one from Ivan. Živim na kmetiji. V hiši nas je 6. Jaz, moja žena, 3 otroci in vnuk. Najraje imam vrt ob hiši. Vedno sem na vrtu. So, before you pause, kmetija means farm. So, he lives on a farm. Okay? And pause now. Okay? If you paused, let's read this. Živim na kmetiji. I live on a farm. V hiši nas je 6. There are 6 of us in the house. Jaz, moja žena, 3 otroci in vnuk. I, my wife, 3 kids and my grandson. Najraje imam vrt ob hiši. I most like the garden by my house. Vedno sem na vrtu. Vedno means always, so I'm always on the garden. Okay, so here are some rules since we're talking a lot of names right now. And basically, these are for male names only. So male names ending in E need to have a T before the ending. So here we have a male name ending with an E, Joža. So Jožeta instead of Joža, or Jožetu instead of Jožeu. And O Jožetu, S Jožetom instead of S Jožeom. See, it kind of works better. So it just makes more sense to put a T for male names ending in E. So we put the T before the ending. However, that doesn't always go for names that are not Slovene. Okay? That's only for Slovene names. And when male names end in an A, we use feminine endings. So for instance, we have the name Luka, Luka, Luki, Luko, Oluki, Luko. And by the way, these are declension endings if you're confused. Okay, so that was just a quick disclaimer. Let's keep going. Today we'll learn a lot of words that we need to build sentences. For instance, že, še, se, si, pa, a. And we'll learn more in the future slides. So let's get going. Je means already or yet. For instance, already would be ura je že 10. The time is already 10. Ura je že 10. The time is already 10. And yet would be si že delal v trgovini? Have you worked at a store yet? Okay. Si že, have you already worked? And in English, yet is usually at the end of the sentence, right? But in Slovene, the že is not at the end of the sentence. So keep that in mind. Then we have še. Še can mean still or not yet. So for instance, še vedno živim v Ljubljani would mean I still live in Ljubljana. Še vedno, I still live. Še vedno živim, I still live. And not yet would mean nisem še delal v trgovini. I haven't yet worked at a store. Now, verbs with se or si are a little bit tricky. Mostly because you have to learn which verbs have se or si. and remember it. There's no trick or rule to it. So se is more commonly used, and here are some examples with these kind of verbs. Pisati se, učiti se, roditi se. Okay? The se is after the verbs. And we have pa and a or ampak. Pa is used to connect contrasting meanings. It means on the other hand. Oh, I made a mistake here, I'm sorry. Babica govori angliško, dedek pa slovensko. So basically, babica govori angliško, grandma speaks English, but on the other hand, grandpa speaks Slovene. So it means on the other hand. We have contrasting meanings here. A or ampak means but when connecting opposite meaning. Ne govorim slovensko, a dobro razumem. I don't speak Slovene, but I understand well. So we have opposite meanings and we're connecting them. So here we have a little reading exercise from the words we just learned. So go back if you forgot them, but let's get started. Že 10 ur se učim slovensko, pa še vedno ne razumem jezika. Ura je že 20 čez 10 in jutri zjutraj grem v Slovenijo. Razumem nekaj besed, a ne govorim dobro. So pause this and try to understand it. But let's get going. Okay. Že 10 ur se učim slovensko. I'm already studying for 10 hours. Slovene. I'm already studying Slovene for 10 hours. Pa še vedno ne razumem jezika. And yet I still don't understand the language. Ura je že 20 čez 10 in jutri zjutraj grem v Slovenijo. The time is already 20 past 10 and tomorrow morning I'm going to Slovenia. Razumem nekaj besed, a ne govorim dobro. I understand some words, but I don't speak well. Okay? So these are really worth remembering. They're used a lot in sentences. You'll see them a lot. And it's really important to just get familiar with them. Now, we'll talk about pronouns today. We have basically questions and we add ne to them and something happens. I'm going to explain. Kaj, we already know this means what. Kdo means who. Kakšen means what kind. And kateri means which. So we have kaj, what, and the answer can be nekaj, something. Kdo, which means who, and the answer is nekdo, someone. Kakšen, which means what kind, and the answer is nekakšen, some kind. Kateri, which means which, nekateri, which means some. Let's continue with adverbs. Kje means where, kam means also where, but in a different way, and kako means how. Kje, the answer is nekje, somewhere. So where, somewhere. Kam, where, like where are you going? Nekam, I'm going somewhere, so somewhere. Nikam. Kako, meaning how, and nekako, somehow. Okay? So this is a really cool cheat. For these, you can just add na in front of it and you already get an answer. And we have some examples. Kaj imaš na krožniku? What do you have on your plate? Nekaj dobrega, something good. Kdo je v hiši? Who is in the house? Nekdo, ki me ima rad. Someone who loves me. Kakšna je tvoja hiša? What kind is your house? Nekakšna rumena, some kind of yellow. Katere jedi imaš rad? Which foods do you like? Nekatere slane jedi, some salty dishes. Kje je mama? Where is mom? Nekje v hiši, somewhere in the house. Kam greš? Where are you going? Nekam z avtom, somewhere with a car. Kako govoriš angliško? How do you speak English? Nekako dobro, somehow well. So this will help you in conversations a lot. Now, we're going to talk about verb roots and prefix and suffix. Now, we're actually not going to mention any suffix, but I'll just tell you what it means. So, a verb root, we already know this, is usually when we remove ti from an infinite verb. It doesn't always work, but we've seen it work, and I always give you a little example of what the verb root is. A prefix is an extra part in front of the root, and a suffix is an extra part after the root. Words with the same root can have a different meaning depending on the prefix and suffix, and we'll look at that soon. If you're confused what an extra part in front or after the root means, don't worry, we're about to mention it. Here are some of the most commonly used prefix. I got these from the website Ana in Slovenia. I would really recommend you check the website out. It's really helpful and it explains really well, but I'm just going to real quick go through this. Do, which means until. Is, which means from. Na, which means on. O, which means about. Ob, which means at. Od, which means from. Po, which means after. Pod, which means under. Pre, which means to. Pred, which means before. Pri, which means next to. Raz, which means from. S, which means with. V, which means in. And za, which means for. So you already probably realized that we learned a lot of these when we were learning declensions. So you are probably already familiar with a lot of these. But let's see how this is used. So we have some sentences. But let's actually start with delati, to work. Okay? Delati means to work. Delam means I work. Do delam means I work, like I add to it. Is delam means I create. Ob delam means I kind of update it in a way. Predelam means I work over it, kind of. It's really hard to explain. Or risati, to draw. Rishem would be I draw, but dorishem means I draw to it. Izrishem would mean I draw it out. Narishem would mean I draw it. Porišem would mean I draw over a surface, and prerišem would mean tracing. I trace. And we have pisati, to write. I encourage you to go to the Pons dictionary. This is how it's spelled, and try to find the meaning of all of this, because this will really help you understand prefix and root examples. And if you want to, you can play around, find some verbs and try to add prefix to it, put it into the dictionary and see how many of them have a meaning and what it means. These prefixes are going to help you a lot to understand what something means, because knowing just the verb to write, you'll see how many meanings these are. Now, today we're also speaking about ko, da, and ker. Ko means when, da means that, and ker means because. Ko, here we have some sentences. Ko sem u Sloveniji, govorim slovensko. Ko sem, when I am in Slovenia, I speak Slovene. Ko imam čas, se učim. Ko imam means when I have. So when I have time, I study. Ko sem u trgovini, iščem hrano. When I'm at the store, I search for food. Da means that. Učim se, da bom dobro govoril slovensko. I study so that I will speak Slovene well. U trgovino grem, da kupim zelenjavo. I go to the store so that I buy vegetables. Najraje imam, da smo doma. I most like it that we are home. Ker means because. Rad imam mamo, ker dobro kuha. I like my mom because she cooks well. Učim se, ker bi rad govoril slovensko. I study because I'd like to speak Slovene. Kuham, ker sem lačna. I cook because I'm hungry. So we have ko, da, and ker. Here's a reading exercise. Ko sem v Ameriki, govorim angleško. Ker dobro govorim angleško, se pogovarjam z Američani. Vsi mislijo, da sem Američan. So, try to understand what this means. Okay, if you did, pause it. Now let's go through it. Ko sem v Ameriki, govorim angleško. Ko sem, when I am in America, I speak English. Ker dobro govorim angleško, se pogovarjam z Američani. Because I speak English well, okay, ker dobro govorim angleško, because I speak English well, I speak with Americans. Vsi mislijo, da sem Američan. Vsi mislijo, they all think, or everybody thinks, that I am American. Okay, here we have another exercise, and this is the last thing we're doing today. So, just do this one and we're done. Here we have the text we already read before. I already read it before, so go back if you need it read out loud. But actually, try to read it by yourself at first to see how much you can understand just reading. Then we have 3 super simple questions. Pause this video now. Actually, before you pause this video, let's go through the questions. Koliko bratov ima moja mama? How many brothers does my mom have? Kako je ime Aninemu očetu? What is Anna's dad's name? Kdo je noseč? Who is pregnant? Okay, now answer these questions based on this text. Pause this now. 3, 2, 1. Here are the results. So, koliko bratov ima moja mama? Tvoja mama ima 2 brata. If you answered moja mama ima 2 brata, that's fine too. Or njegova mama ima 2 brata, it's fine too. I just decided to answer these in the second person. So, koliko bratov ima moja mama? So, moja mama ima 2 brata. So, tvoja mama ima 2 brata. Your mom has 2 brothers. Next we have kako je ime Aninemu očetu. Actually, this was a little bit trickier. Stric Boris ima hčerko Ano. So, we know the stric Boris, so Uncle Boris has a daughter named Anna. So, what is Anna's father's name? And yeah, we know it's Boris, but it's a little bit more tricky. And kdo je noseč? So who is pregnant? Leja je noseča. I answered tvoja sestra Leja. Leja je noseča is also fine. Or yeah, so if you got this right, then good job paying attention. If you didn't, don't worry. You can still practice and go back. We are just learning here and it's okay to make mistakes. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. And yeah, bye.